The Battle of Chickamauga resulted in Chattanooga being besieged. Rosecrans wired Washington that without reinforcements, he would be unable to hold it for very long. That became the first priority of Washington. The question was, where could troops be brought from? The answer was the Army of the Potomac. The vehicle was the railroads. In a remarkable logistics move, 20,000 men with all of their equipment were transferred to Chattanooga in 11 days. It was the longest and fastest movement of troops until the 20th century. Sending troops alone was not enough, however. It was also decided that a new commander was needed. Thus, the Division of the Mississippi was created, spanning the Mississippi to the Alleghenies. U.S. Grant was appointed the commander of it. He was given the option of maintaining Rosecrans as the commander of the Army of the Cumberland, or replacing him, and he decided to replace him with Sherman. Once he arrived in Chattanooga, Grant's first goal was to open the supply route into Chattanooga. This he did with a well-planned action in which elements of Hooker's advancing corps combined with troops from Chattanooga to seize the crossing of the Tennessee River near the Raccoon Mountains. This became known as the Cracker Line. Once this action was accomplished, Grant's forces could resume receiving regular rations. Grant's future success was further aided by dissension in the Confederate ranks. Bragg's subordinates all called for his removal. Confederate President Davis was forced to travel to Bragg's headquarters to try to work out the differences, something he failed to do. The only thing he did accomplish was to recommend the detachment of Longstreet to reconquer Little Rock. With the departure of Longstreet, the momentum moved inextricably to Grant. By mid-November, Sherman had arrived from Vicksburg with an additional 17,000 men. Grant ordered Burnside, who was outside Little Rock, to keep Longstreet busy as long as possible. This he did, by avoiding battle and instead forcing Longstreet to begin a siege of the city. Grant was now ready to assault the Confederate forces surrounding him at Chattanooga. His plan called for an attack on both flanks of the Confederate lines, while using Thomas's recently defeated forces as merely a feint in the center. Thus, on November 24th, Hooker's forces assaulted Lookout Mountain. With relatively light casualties, less than 500, Hooker's forces successfully ascended Lookout Mountain. Sherman's forces, on the other hand, were having a harder time of it. On the 24th, they successfully ascended the other end of the Confederate lines, only to find that it was not part of the Missionary Ridge, but a separate hill. The next morning, on the 25th, Sherman's forces attempted to assault the end of Mission Ridge with little success. Finally, exasperated, Grant ordered Thomas's forces to make a limited assault in the center to relieve some of the pressure on Sherman. The assault by the veterans of Chickamauga succeeded beyond all expectations. Thomas's forces sprinted up the open plains straight at the first line of Confederate forces and overcame them swiftly. Grant and the other commanders watching from below at Orchard Knob were shocked to see the Union soldiers advance from the first line of Confederate fortification and head straight up the hill without orders. The defenders were similarly shocked and fell back in total disarray. In a few minutes, all of the Confederate positions were overrun and Missionary Ridge was in Union hands. The Confederate retreated almost 30 miles toward Atlanta.